What it do, boo-boos? How is everybody? I am good. I just got in from work. It was a little busier tonight than it has been. We're ramping up for CMAs here in Nashville, so Bonnaroo is next week too. So the city will grow in size by probably, I don't know, it could be hundreds of thousands of people in town, so we'll probably get a little bit busier for that. But yeah, it's a pretty chill night at the restaurant. Can't complain. We are here for our extended discussion on our midweek reading. And so if you would like, if you don't already, you can find me at Liz_Taylor_Magick on Instagram. And on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I write up our posts and put them there first during like the midday-ish. And so if you want to get a head start, you can see them there before I film our nightly extended discussions. All right. So on Wednesdays, we have been using a new deck that I bought by Kim Kranz. It's the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck. And it's an amazing, component or companion to the Wild and Unknown archetypes that we pull from at the beginning of the week to get our lessons. So Sunday we do our energy forecast, which gives us the weather, the energetic or spiritual influences over the week. Monday we do our anchor message, which gives us our spiritual or soul assignments for the week. So now on Wednesdays, we usually take a deeper look at how we can apply our lessons or how we can, show up to these lessons to, make the most of them, which naturally is the work of spiritual alchemy. So what better, deck than the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck? So it's been perfect. So perfect companion. So we pulled some cards from here today, and then we clarify with some tarot cards. Now, what's interesting is that this week on our anchor message Monday, all of our archetype cards were cards that had come up during our Monday messages for the last 3 weeks. So there were groupings of cards and they were repeats from the last 3 weeks, which tells me that there have been ongoing themes and lessons and situations that have been going on for the past 3 weeks. And all of those different facets of that lesson is kind of coming together this week or being resolved or culminating. So what's interesting too is that taking a deeper look into how we can approach these, the repeat alchemy cards have come up for the middle of the week. So it's very interesting. Chiron had just come up a few days ago. And so Chiron is the wounded healer, and the wounded healer specifically, the legend is that Chiron is the rejected son of Saturn. And so because of that wound and that pain, Chiron was able to become a very powerful spiritual healer and teacher and mystic. And so more healing is coming up this week, very deep healing, because all the other cards that follow, I'll get into it. But we started with Chiron. Don't call it a comeback, so you never left. Followed by Autumn. Followed by Conjunction. I love how these fit together like molecules. It's just I love these cards. And finally finishing up with Speculum. So the Speculum glass is back. The Conjunction card was here before. Now you won't see the Speculum glass on my Instagram page because it was a card that I pulled after I first bought the deck, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is very much for the group and not just for me. So I shared it in the video, but you won't see it in the posts. You will see Conjunction from recent, and then you will see Chiron. Okay, and so underneath these, we were clarified with the Four of Cups, followed by Death, followed by Three of Wands, and finished with the Devil. So this is very interesting, the way that these sort of came out and were arranged. So Chiron was over the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups is a moment where you may be feeling, or the character is feeling, disgruntled, blasé, a bit lackluster, sort of in a funk or a rut or depression, or they're just not their usual self. They've turned inward. They're in some sort of discontent. And usually there are 3 cups in front of this person that they're focused on, and there's the Ace of Cups reaching in from behind that they're not seeing. In this particular artwork, it's depicted as this bird that's like a friend and a helper trying to shelter this friend from the storm, but this person has their back to the help and they can't see it, right? Because they're just consumed with their own situation. They're not seeing, the support that they're being given. And so the Chiron card and the Four of Cups, it's like we're moving through like a difficult time, and it's like healing is happening, but like you may not even be taking advantage or realizing all of the helpful and healing influences that are around you. So be open to receiving those, which touches on last night's Oracle manifestation reading for the week. It was all about like receiving heaven's help and letting people help you and being open to receive, right? So be open to allowing, supportive encouragement or help where it helps you heal, right? It helps you turn your attention off of what's gone wrong and put your attention back on what can go right, what you can appreciate. It's like we have to radically surrender right now and just be in acceptance with the moment that we're in and do what we have to get to that bright future ahead. One of our first card last night was A New Dawn, and it's a card that says the worst is behind us and positive new experiences are on the horizon. But it's like they're even here for the taking already. It's just that we're not really seeing them. We're not, out of this deluge, this funk yet. So Chiron is coming in a major way to help us. Like here's this autumn card, right? Shed old patterns, old parts of our personality. And, the autumn card was accompanied by death. So it's like we're shedding all the parts of our, smaller self, the past self, the old stories that are still kind of holding us back. Those patterns that are creeping around in our subconscious, that are running the show that we're not aware of, right? Limiting beliefs, scarcity mindedness, maybe like silencing yourself or holding yourself back. And so all of these self-defeating tendencies are coming to these conclusions, and they're falling away, or there's the opportunity for them to. But we have to be an active participant in our transformation. So, every fall, it's like, autumn is all about like the trees have to let go of their leaves, right? It's all about letting go and releasing and allowing the end of a season. And the passing of what was to happen and the preparing of what is to come. I also think that because the fall was next to the conjunction card, there's also something about a timing card here. I think it's like things are going to be coming together more in the fall. And that is true. Look at comparing to my 2023 predictions playlist, which I haven't even had time to go through and watch them month by month, just to see like what's in the cards for us. I just remember general broad strokes, but I do remember that by the fall, it's like the energy kind of finally like turns over. And I haven't gotten a chance to do November and December yet, which I'm interested to see what they're looking like. But by October, things were supposed to really shift and there's going to be a real, like, we're going to see a difference in all the work that we've been doing in ourselves. It's finally going to start to show. So we might have a new opportunity, or just suddenly look around and be like, oh my gosh, like everything's really like come together, and underneath my nose, and I didn't even realize it, right? Or maybe you'll have like a big blessing that's come through, or a happy conclusion with something come fall, come October even. That even for with other readers, they keep talking about something in October. So it could be a very positive month for a lot of things. So we're at the end of this season, right? And this is like not just a typical season of our life, but this is like the first half of our life is now, like, it can come to conclusion. But we have to stop participating in those patterns. We have to break the cycle. Things that are no longer bringing us, things that are no longer bringing value to our life, or that are no longer in our highest good, those things may be falling away or coming to conclusion or completion. So we need to allow that death and transformation to occur. This has been a really interesting year, because I feel that more so than ever, like coming out of the 2022 cycle, we weren't even really into the new fresh cycle of energy until spring. So there was an extra long death and resurrection cycle, at least for me this year, because I started that kind of Easter season at the beginning of Lent, and I was doing the fast for Lent. And then I participate in Passover. And so then there is a follow-up several week period of work that goes along with the death and rebirth and resurrection of Passover. So all of this is also coinciding with our eclipses and the new moons and the full moons and Mercury retrograde. And so all of that was like in parallel, supporting this like collective reset where like so many people, like in mass numbers, are going through these awakenings. And it's very difficult because they're usually brought on by like very major and uncomfortable disruptions in your life. It's not usually that you wake up one day and you're like, oh my God, like I just realized it all. Like it's like everything matters and nothing does. And it's like, it doesn't really happen that way. It's usually like something like shakes you to your core and brings down every sense of every false prop you have yourself built on, and every thing that is built on a false sense of security. It just like comes crumbling in front of you until you're disillusioned and you see the truth and you're ready to make the changes. So we're being really urged to allow the end of the cycles to occur, because deep healing is occurring like on a deep molecular cellular level. Like I keep getting this like vision of like everything crashing around us, but then like all this shrapnel just bouncing around in these like hot iron box walls, like almost like, I don't know, I just keep using that image, but then it was like almost like the same thing that like is like atomic fusion and things like that going on. So it's like, it feels very chaotic. It feels like space-time reality is being ripped apart and put back together again, but that's good. That's what is bringing us down into this this soup of imaginal cells, like that happens to the caterpillar inside the cocoon. And so it's a very gross and dirty and uncomfortable and messy process, but it's a beautiful one that needs to happen, and it's allowing for gorgeous things to come in. Conjunction, and we'll read some of these cards. I feel like I want to read conjunction and definitely conjunction. I feel like I want to read autumn too. But we definitely read Chiron last time. Maybe we'll read that one again. So conjunction is over 3 of Wands. Now, this is super interesting to me because 3 of Wands is about the coming together of like your visions coming together. And there are creative collaborators that are around you that are wanting to team up with you. The artwork in the Three of Wands usually depicts someone sitting at the shore waiting for their ship to come in, right? And it's like that feeling of, wow, the ship has come in. I'm just waiting for it to come to port so that I can come aboard. So right now it's this moment of anticipation. Like, we're prepared, we've got everything ready to go. Now we're just waiting to get on the boat, waiting for the ship to land, waiting for the people to show up. It's like we have all the parts and the pieces. It's just like we're waiting for it all to come together, coming together. Well, you'll see this depicted in the art here, but this is infinity. This is union. This is the yin and yang, the masculine and feminine coming together in equibalence, right? This is the sacred marriage of the spiritual with the physical. When you take all of the wisdom and the change and the transformation and you bring it into embodiment, right? When you can take the nurturing and intuitive and compassionate parts of yourself and take that intuitive guidance and actually go after something and put it out there, put something out in the world, or make it happen. That's balancing those masculine and feminine energies. So that's what's happening here. I'll read out of the book to go into more detail, but yeah, it's like we're healing right now. We're coming through a season of major change. We're letting old things pass away, and good things are right around the corner. A new dawn is in front of us, and the worst is behind us. It's just, we need to be patient with the process, because it's just that it's taking time, It takes time to cook a dish. It takes time for molecules to create elements, right? After the Big Bang, there was a period of billions of years where there was like heat and expansion, and then the cooling and the contraction, and all of that. It took billions of years before the contraction was able to get to a point to start bringing water molecules together with mineral elements, and that started creating solid mass that became stars and planets and meteors and whatnot. So it takes a while, and we're in this process. But I feel like it's like nothing to worry about, because things are starting to come together and they're starting to come into focus. Recently, I thought about Voldemort. I don't know if you guys are Harry Potter fans, but at some point in the story, Voldemort was destroyed and torn asunder and cast into pieces, and he was completely destroyed and blown apart. But over time, he was able to gather his strength and pull himself back together and reemerge, right? And so that's kind of what I feel about these two cards, except it's positive. We're not Voldemort, but it's like we've been blasted apart, and our ego has gone through ego death, and we've shed all these layers of ourselves, and now it's like we're at the beginning. We don't feel like it yet, but before we know it, our pieces are starting to come back together, and we're starting to slowly but surely feel a little bit different, starting to feel a little better, starting to feel a little bit more hope and focus and vision for our future. And literally, I mean, the speculum here, it's like things are coming into focus, and I kept getting a sense of the fog is lifting. I went through a period of just confusion and uncertainty about where I was and where I was going and what I was doing in my life for a year or more. It was a year and a half. And I'm not that person. I always know what I'm doing, and I always know what I want, and I always know where I'm going and how to get there. And because it was so strange that I was feeling that confused, I knew that it was divinely ordered for me to just not know at the moment and be able to learn to trust in the not knowing. And so the fog will be lifting soon, and the bright future, the technicolored beauty that's in store is starting to come into focus. And the fog on the lens is starting to to dissipate because our lens is acclimating to the new conditions of our life. I don't know if you guys have ever, if you're into photography or not, but if you've ever taken a camera outside in the South in the muggy summer, your lens is going to be fogged for 30 minutes. It's going to take 20 minutes of sitting outside just waiting for your camera to come up to the temperature of the air, and so that it won't cause condensation. And you can sit there wiping your lens all you want, but it's just going to immediately fog back up. You can't do anything. So it just takes time. You just have to sit there and wait. There's nothing you can do. You just have to surrender and let go and enjoy the scenery for a minute. And you got 20 minutes to kill. So things are coming into focus, right? But don't beat yourself up. It just is going to take a minute while things, dial in. So don't be in any rush. There's nothing to rush. We're on time. We're right where we need to be. And it's going to behoove us to allow our energy to settle and to not be worked up. Because that will only cause more turbulence. It'll slow things down. It'll create tension. It'll close your vessel. You won't be able to receive. So you want to relax and you want to enjoy and you just want to be present and really enjoy this moment that you're in, because no moment lasts forever. And so our final card was the Devil card. Things are coming together and they are coming into focus, but I couldn't help but notice that there's all these webs. These webs need to be untangled. There are things that we're still pulling apart and disassembling and editing and reorganizing from the past about ourselves, about how we show up. We're figuring it out as we go. It's like we're breaking in the new shoes of the person that we're becoming. And so there are things that we still have to work out and things that we have to adjust and manage and untangle from the past. And so, there's multiple lessons that go with the Devil card. One is that the devil is the ruler over the material realm. So sometimes in a positive sense, this card can say that things are coming together in a material sense and they're going to be solidified and even long standing, right? But the negative side of the Devil card is it's usually there's a depiction of the two lovers standing shackled in front of the devil. And their shackles are actually very loose. And they're all subservient to the devil and they're miserable and they're trapped, but they're not really, because they could just take their shackles off and walk away. But it's actually up to them. It's their free will. It's their inheritance to do that, right? The angels can't get involved unless we ask them. So it's up to us ultimately to liberate ourselves. Yes, the Christ liberates and redeems, right? And angels help us, but they're just here on offer. But we have to make the effort to reach out, right? It's like the door is always open, but we have to walk through that door. We have half of the work to do. But if we show up and do that, we will be supported in it. So the trick of the adversary is to always make us feel or convince us that we are trapped, or that this is the only way. There is no other way. The moment you start saying that or you hear someone saying that, just know the devil's at work. There's always another way. The creator is within all things and is omnipresent. And so you can activate that creator force at any moment and manifest a miracle and be in the miracle zone. In fact, the more certain you are that even if circumstances are bleak, any minute, things can be changed in your favor. For instance, say you are at the airport and you're on a layover and you're waiting to get on your flight and they overbooked it. And you find out that you're not one of the preferred customers, and so you get bounced off the plane. Well, you can either get in a bad mood, and then things are probably just going to get worse because your vibration is now in total lockdown. So you're in bad vibes, and you're you're getting lower and lower and you're downward spiraling and you're getting more irritated. So you're just going to have a terrible time at the airport, buying expensive food that's unsatisfying, and maybe even get more and more delayed flights. You might have to go get a room overnight. Complaining the whole time and miserable. Arguing amongst the people you're with, or just miserable on your own. Or, oh no, we've been bumped onto or we've been bumped off our flight. So, okay, well, let's make the best of it. We're going to get on another flight, and we're going to know, like, maybe there was some kind of mechanical error on the plane. Maybe there's a reason why we're supposed to be on this next one. But we're going to trust that it's all going to work out, and we're going to get there, and it's not the end of the world. And this is all just like, it can all play out in our favor at any minute, but there's a reason for it, right? Maybe we're being protected by something. And so then all of a sudden, the person who works for the airline comes around and they're like, oh, well, since we've inconvenienced you so poorly, we can upgrade you to first class on this flight that is actually landing at this gate now. And you can actually get on that flight and be upgraded to first class, since for your, that's the kind of thing that happens. Like, I just made all that up, but that's a good general example of things that I've had happen to me. That if I was chill and I was just still in a good mood and like rolled with the punches, then, and I was actually certain, though, consciously certain that like Creator could work it all out and be fine, or I was being protected by something that wasn't for me or could have been bad, then it's like everything just sort of like falls not only into place, but sometimes better than it was. So you just have to have that trust that there's always another way. Where there's a will, there's a way. God can make a way, right? We're miracle workers. Miracles are our natural state of being, right? It's just that our negativity and falling into the illusion has cut us off from those miracles, because we're not in affinity with the light. If we're not believing in the miracles, we're in doubt, and we're like, disgruntled, closes off the vessel, and it gets us into dissonance. That was one of the cards that came up in our lunation workshop, in the full moon workshop that we just had. It was one of the cards was warning us. It was in the position of ourselves in this moment. It was like we're in dissonance. So make sure that you are in vibrational resonance with what you want to attract by being what you want to call in and appreciating more of that. So yes, things can come to fruition right now, and things are coming, but there are things that have to be dealt with now. And so instead of becoming overwhelmed and apathetic, accept where you're at in this moment so that you can do what needs to be done in order to prepare to get on the ship that's going to sail into a bright new yonder. Isn't it funny that this is like a water, like a bay, like a passage here, and this is like, it's like the continuation of the ship. Okay, so let's read conjunction. Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Na, 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 na. I think it's connected to the coagulatio. No? Oh, here we go. It's these Roman numerals, and after they get up past a certain point, I have no idea what they are anymore. Okay. Conjunctio. Conjunction. Oh, love. Divine union. Infinity. Conjunctio is the great alchemical operation of love. During this stage, we witness the miraculous work of two opposites merging to create a unique third form. Ooh, Three of Wands. Sun and moon unite to reveal the entire cosmos. Black and white unite to reveal the spectrum of color. Unlike coagulatio, conjunctio represents a conscious and benevolent union, one that springs forth from awareness, acceptance, and devotion. It is not a compromise, but rather an activation, a holding of tension and presence that allows each of the entities to thrive and express themselves. Experiencing conjunctio is one of the blessings of the human experience. Whether the bond is with human nature or divinity, recognize it by the stirring of your heart and an element of surprise. Through the opposites arise the infinite. Experiencing conjunctio is one of the blessings of the human experience. Whether the bond is with human nature or divinity, recognize it by its stirring of your heart and an element of surprise. Through the opposites arises the infinite. So I had to go back and reread that, the couple of sentences, because I just went into like trance and robot mode. Okay, to go deeper, look at number 2A, The Current Standpoint of the Mahatmas by Hilma of Klint. And to ponder the center of the lemniscate. The center of the lemniscate. I don't know what that is. The alchemist is patient and true to their own heart. Do not be fooled by preconceived images of what conjunctio looks like. Do not be fooled by preconceived images of what conjunctio looks like. Love is creative and therefore seeks new forms. Take note if this card appears in the vicinity of the alchemical wedding or Venus card. Okay, it did not. And then, autumn is what I wanted to look up. Autumn. Okay, interesting that she lists winter first, then spring, then summer, and then autumn is listed last. The culmination, the broad view, generosity. In alchemical terms, autumn is the denouement of Earth's grand narrative. It is the symbol of culmination, harvesting, and resolution. The story of our year finds its closure, and we begin to look toward the horizons of the next one. It is likely this card will appear as an indicator of efforts culminating, of hard work paying off, of fruit hanging low for the taking. Gratitude and generosity are the spirit of the season. So share the wealth of your fortune. Looking back, you realize many hands and hearts have helped you along the way. Holding tight to your bounty won't do you any good. The alchemist shares their wisdom and wealth. They offer their boons back to the world as part of the ongoing cycle. Be like the autumnal tree. Come to fruition and then release. Go deeper. Donate. Any amount will do. You could donate to my Venmo link if you would like, or PayPal, but I swear the book says to go deeper, donate. Any amount will do. To ponder, active generosity. This card nudges us to look at the big picture. It's a time to reflect back on the journey you've just completed. Freeform writing and sending notes of thanks will serve you well. Fall is related to the earth element and the cardinal direction of the west. You may be reminded of distant relatives or ancestors. Welcome them into your harvest celebration. And then the glass is all about like clarity and coming into focus and perception. And then Chiron is about that wounded healer and like using the depths of your experience, the things that your wounds have taught you in order to heal and to help heal others. But in order to do that, you have to go through a process, right? It's not like we can just be hurt and then immediately use that out in the world. Because people who haven't processed that are like out there talking about it too early, it's like they haven't gotten any perspective. They haven't taken any lesson from it yet, and it hasn't changed them. So they're just still triggered by the whole thing. And really, they're just sort of like rehashing it and rehashing that energy, and it's like circling around. That's what's happening when someone goes through something and they're going through something, and instead of changing, or like, okay, everybody's had a friend who's been in a terrible relationship for like years, and they talk about it all the time to everyone, or like a bad job that they hate, that they talk about it to everyone, and they talk about it and they talk about it and they talk about it, but they never do anything to change, right? It's like you don't want to keep circling back and circling back and circling back and talking and talking and talking, right? Because then you're just, it's like, it's just creating chaos. So yes, we're getting just really clear now about the things that we're tweaking and changing. We're getting focused. We're getting focused about our perception, right? Because everything that we create first starts at a seed level in our thoughts. And our thoughts are brewing and cultivating up there based on how we perceive things. It's like that's what's going to run wild in our minds. So we've got to get control over that. So yeah, after having an experience that you share with people to the world, it's like you need to get clear and you need to get perspective on what's come and what's happened and what's transpired before you can really help heal others. It's like you have to go through that healing first too. But your healing will help heal others. So it not only benefits you, but it does affect other people around you as well. All right, you guys, that is it for this evening. Tomorrow we will be doing our weekly romance oracle reading. But yeah, I'll see y'all then. Ciao.